Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokpobiri, has praised WalterSmith Modular Refinery for meeting energy needs in the country. The refinery, located at Ibigwe in Ohaji, Egbema local government area of Imo State, produces 600 million litres of different types of products. Lokpobiri, after taking a tour of the facility with Simbi Wabote, now the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, expressed delight with WalterSmith. The minister also noted that modular refineries are the shortest way to address Nigeria's energy problems. To further discuss this, we're joined by Dr. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, a development economist and investment banker. Hello, and thank you for joining us, Doctor. Okay, can you tell us what are the key advantages of modular refineries like WalterSmith in addressing Nigeria's energy needs, compared to other traditional refineries?
It will not take a long time for it to be executed. You can do a modular refinery between 5,000 to 30,000 barrels a day within 2 years. WalterSmith has been there over the last 5 years. It's not as if it's a new company. WalterSmith has been producing it's a 5,000 barrel per day capacity modular refinery with capacity to do about 660,000 liters of AGO every day, plus other byproducts. We've always advocated that modular refineries should be licensed and should be encouraged. One of the problems and the teething problems that have faced the establishment of modular refineries, more modular refineries across Nigeria, is the issue of crude supply and the support from the government. We've always said this: Nigeria is a country with potentials to produce over 3 million barrels of crude oil every day. And since we have OPEC quota, we should try as much as possible to see how we can develop and ramp up production from the upstream sector and create what I call off-OPEC quota production that can be allocated and co-located with those that want to do modular refineries, at least to show up local supply in those areas, especially in the areas of the white petroleum products, the gas oil, which is AGO, and the gasoline. Currently, it's estimated that we consume about 8 to 9 million liters of AGO every day and about 45 to 50 million liters of PMS every day. So modular refineries is not just enough to have them. Government should do a lot to provide them with feedstock in terms of crude oil, or if they cannot provide them with crude oil, to see how they can partner with MPDC to get marginal fuel that they can provide feedstock and raw material for their output. Like currently, WalterSmith is doing about 5,000 barrels, and they already have a plan to develop the second phase of their project, which is about 25,000 barrels. We have others like the Niger Delta, we have Upper, we have the refineries and all those stuff. So I think it's a good development. More of the modular refineries in Nigeria will help us to shore up the supply side and help us to conserve some of the forests that we waste, importing white petroleum product that we can refine here.
All right, Doctor. Now, you just talked about how much is consumed in a day. Now, let's take a look at this from an investment standpoint. What are the key factors that make modular refineries a viable solution for Nigeria's fuel requirements?
The key takeaway, like I've always said, we must make sure that transparency, there is free entry and free exit of qualifying and qualified players in the industry. I'm one of those advocates and one of those supporters of full deregulation of the whole downstream value chain of the oil and gas sector. I still believe that Nigeria can do better if we also privatize the refineries that we have under NNPC, or NNPC divest most of their holdings down to about 40% and allow it to work the way the NLNG currently works. Like I said, if the environment is right, the regulatory environment will remove most of the regulatory bottlenecks. Like I always said, if you go to other competing nations like Angola and even Namibia now that have discovered frontier basin oil, regulatory framework there is not just as rigid and so diverse as Nigeria. You have central regulatory bodies, and the ease of getting into their industry, the ease of doing business is there. This is something we must do. Regulators and policymakers must make policies and regulations from the point of view of supporting private sector players who will add more value. Because without private sector investment into that sector, there's nothing government can do from the fiscal revenue and physical capital side. So I think we should put in place all these arrangements to make sure that there's a full integration of operations in the downstream oil and gas sector to the midstream to the upstream in such a way. Like I always say, Nigeria has capacity to ramp up and produce 3 to 4 million barrels of crude oil every day. We have a crude reserve that can last over the next 40 to 50 years, even if we are doing 2.5 million barrels a day. Even if OPEC quota is 1.8 million or 2 million barrels, off OPEC quota can be used in such a structured financial engineering and corporate PPP arrangement that the non-OPEC quota production can be used in a special way for refining products in Nigeria for local and domestic consumption. We have developed proposals, we have developed frameworks on how these things can be done to make it a win-win for Nigeria and make this economy a very buoyant one.
All right, Doctor. Very interesting. You did say having qualified players in the industry is one of the factors that would actually make the refineries viable. And also, a lot of stakeholders seem to believe that, building more of these refineries would actually, help in meeting the energy needs as well. Now, let's take a look at Scotland's only oil refinery as Grangemouth, which is set to close as soon as 2025. That's in terms of economic development. Do you think, while in other countries, they're looking for other options and closing down their refineries, do you think building new refineries are still economically viable in Nigeria?
Building new refineries is still economically viable in Nigeria. Let us stay away from all of this. Yes, world is going green, diversifying from fossil fuel, but fossil fuel remains our major source of revenue. I know when we talk about ozone depletion, when we talk about impact of environment, a fossil fuel environment, we forget that the volume of aviation fuel that is burnt in Western countries like America, from California airport alone, is more than the fossil fuel that we burn here in Nigeria in 1 month. What they burn there in a day, aviation fuel, is more than what we consume here in a month. Fossil fuel remains the foundation and bedrock of Nigerian economy, and we must ramp it up. That the refineries are closing up in the West. Our economy is not fully industrialized a lot of the West. We talk about coal. Look at China. China is an industrialized country, but yet 40% of China industrial machines are powered by coal. China consumes about 3.9 billion tons of coal annually. Nigeria has a coal reserve. We are not using our coal reserve, and our coal is even better than the Chinese coal because our coal is low sulfur from Kaba to Enugu to the southeast and south middle belt. We have huge coal reserve, surface coal that is left sulfur, and we can actually tap to produce power and other things, which is even cheaper cost of raw material for power production. Yet we are not tapping into it because we're looking at what the West is trying to tell us about and moving away from the fossil fuel. We need to look inward. We have the capacity. Like I've always said, we can actually tap into foreign diaspora investments of not less than 100 billion annually to fund most of these things. If we have the right environment, the right transparent framework, the right institutional framework in Nigeria to drive this things. It's all about leadership and governance and putting in place the right policy and framework and the incentives to bring investors into this country.
All right, Doctor. Now, just before we go, and in light of all that you have actually said, what policy initiatives are necessary to seamlessly integrate modular refineries into the mainstream oil and gas industry?
Like I said,
just briefly,
try as much as possible to provide feedstock for those modular refineries. Encourage more modular refineries, especially within the coastal areas of the Niger Delta, Koko, or Port Harcourt, Oron, Calabar. We can do many modular refineries to satisfy the local demand. The likes of Dangote can actually supply the rest of West Africa, but we need more refineries. Nothing says that Nigeria cannot be able to provide enough refined product that we can satisfy our local demand and supply the rest of West Africa. We can do it. So policy framework, very simple. Try and integrate the upstream with the downstream in a very seamless manner. Many marginal fields are lying there unutilized. Government should support those modular refinery owners to have access to those, and those who are already downstream players that have storage tanks, that have jetties, that are very massive, should also be encouraged to go into those sectors. Look at those players with capacity, with financial capacity. Support them. This country is a very vast land that is paradise, but we need to put in place the right frameworks and policies to drive it.
All right, well, thank you so much, Dr. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, for sharing your thoughts with us on this.
Thank you.